The Great Silence. The vast expanse of the Milky Way buzzed with the chatter of countless civilizations. For millennia, the galactic community had grown, species rising from their cradles to join the cosmic conversation. Among these voices, Earth had always been a curiosity, a world of contrasts, of brilliant innovations and perplexing conflicts. Humans, with their insatiable curiosity and relentless drive, had quickly become a topic of fascination among alien scholars and diplomats alike. But then, without warning, Earth fell silent. It wasn't a gradual fade, a slow decay of transmissions that might indicate a civilization's decline. No, it was as if someone had flipped a switch. One moment, the airwaves were filled with human broadcasts, music, news, scientific data, and the next, nothing but static. The silence was deafening. Admiral Zixnareth of the Galactic Confederation stood on the bridge of the CSS Luminary, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Sol system. His iridescent scales shimmered under the soft blue light of the ship's interior, reflecting his unease. "Status report," he commanded, his voice a low rumble that resonated through the bridge. First Officer Elia, a lithe Andorian with skin like polished silver, stepped forward. "Sir, we've reached the outer edge of the Sol system. No response to our hails on any frequency." Zixnareth's upper eyes narrowed while his lower pair scanned the readouts scrolling across nearby screens. "Any signs of conflict? Natural disasters?" "Negative, Admiral," Elia replied. "Long-range scans show no debris fields, no radiation signatures indicative of large-scale warfare. It's as if they've simply vanished," Zixnareth finished, his tail twitching with agitation. The luminary pressed on, passing the gas giants of the outer system. Jupiter's swirling storms raged on, oblivious to the mystery unfolding. Saturn's rings glittered, a cosmic jewelry box untouched by the silence that gripped Earth. As they approached the inner system, tension on the bridge ratcheted up. Mars, once home to thriving human colonies, was eerily quiet. The great domes that housed millions now stood dark and still. "Life signs on Mars?" Zixnareth asked, though he already suspected the answer. "None detected, sir," came the reply from the sensor officer, a Vesboy whose mandibles clicked nervously. Zixnareth felt a chill run down his spine, despite the carefully regulated temperature of the ship. He had known humans, had marveled at their resilience and ingenuity. The thought of an entire species, billions of souls, vanishing without a trace was almost too much to comprehend. As the luminary entered Earth orbit, the crew collectively held their breath. The blue marble hung before them, clouds swirling over vast oceans, continents clearly visible. But where cities should have glowed with the light of human activity, there was only darkness. "Scan for any signs of life," Zixnareth ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. Moments passed, each second stretching into eternity. Then, the sensor officer's voice broke the silence, tinged with disbelief. "Sir, we're detecting something, but it doesn't make sense." "Explain," Zixnareth demanded, moving to the sensor station with fluid grace. "There's a field surrounding the entire planet. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. Our scans can't penetrate it." Zixnareth stared at the readouts, his scientific mind racing to comprehend what he was seeing. The field enveloped Earth completely, a perfect sphere that defied all known laws of physics. "Is it artificial?" he asked. "It must be," Elia interjected, joining them at the console. "No natural phenomenon could create such a perfect barrier." Zixnareth straightened, his scales rippling with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Prepare a probe. We need to get closer to understand what we're dealing with." As the crew sprang into action, Zixnareth returned to the viewport, gazing down at the enigma that Earth had become. In all his years of exploration, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans, it seemed, had one last surprise for the galaxy. The probe launched, a tiny speck against the vast backdrop of space, It approached the mysterious field, instruments primed to collect data. As it touched the barrier, there was a brief flash of light, and then the probe was gone, as if it had never existed. Gasps echoed across the bridge. Zixnereth's scales darkened, a sign of deep concern among his species. "Analysis?" he barked. "The probe. It just ceased to exist, sir," the science officer reported, her tentacles writhing in agitation. "No explosion, no disintegration. One moment it was there. The next." "Just like the humans," Zixnereth murmured. He turned to face his crew, seeing the mix of fear and curiosity in their alien faces. They had come seeking answers, but had found only more questions. Whatever had happened to humanity, it was clear that it was beyond their current understanding. "Send a message to Galactic Command," Zixnereth ordered. "Inform them of our findings. And then, prepare for a long-term mission. We're not leaving until we solve this mystery." As the luminary settled into orbit around the silent Earth, Zixnereth couldn't shake the feeling that they stood on the precipice of something monumental. The humans had always pushed the boundaries of the possible. Had they finally pushed too far? Or had they transcended to a level beyond anything the galactic community could imagine? The great silence of Earth echoed through the cosmos, a challenge to all who would seek to unravel its secrets. And Admiral Zixnereth, representative of a galaxy teeming with life and wonder, found himself humbled by the magnitude of the enigma before him. The search for humanity had only just begun. Echoes of humanity. Weeks passed as the CSS Luminary maintained its vigil around Earth. The mysterious barrier remained impenetrable, defying every scan and probe the crew devised. Admiral Zixnereth found himself spending long hours in his quarters, poring over historical records of human achievements and behaviors, searching for any clue that might shed light on their inexplicable disappearance. It was during one such session that First Officer Elia's voice came through the comm system. "Admiral, we've detected an anomaly on Titan." Zixnereth's scales rippled with interest. "Titan? Saturn's moon?" "Yes, sir. It appears to be an active power signature, human in origin." Within moments, Zixnereth was on the bridge, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Saturnian system. "Show me," he commanded. The image zoomed in on Titan's hazy orange surface. A pulsing red dot indicated the source of the power signature, nestled in what appeared to be the remnants of a human outpost. "Prepare a landing party," Zixnereth ordered. "I'll lead the expedition myself." As the shuttle descended through Titan's thick atmosphere, Zixnereth couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. This was the first tangible lead they'd had since arriving in the Sol system. The outpost came into view, a collection of domed structures half buried in the moon's hydrocarbon sands. The landing party, clad in environmental suits, made their way towards the largest structure. Zixnereth noticed strange markings on the dome's exterior, complex patterns that seemed to shift and change as he looked at them. "Curious," he muttered. "These weren't in any of the design specs we had for human outposts." They found an airlock, and after some tense moments interfacing their technology with the human systems, managed to cycle through. Inside, emergency lighting cast an eerie glow over abandoned corridors. "Life support is still functioning," reported one of the science officers, a Meridian whose bioluminescent skin pulsed with excitement. "Air composition is Earth normal." Zixnereth nodded, his lower eyes scanning for any immediate threats while his upper pair took in the details of their surroundings. "Let's find the source of that power signature." As they moved deeper into the facility, signs of a hasty evacuation became evident. Personal belongings were strewn about, meals left half-eaten in the mess hall. But there was no sign of struggle, no indication of panic or disaster. They reached a sealed door marked Quantum Research Lab. The power signature emanated from beyond. "Open it," Zixnereth ordered. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a scene that defied explanation. The lab was a maze of equipment unlike anything Zixnereth had ever seen. Holographic displays flickered with equations so complex they made his head spin. At the center of the room stood a pillar of swirling energy, contained within a field similar to the one surrounding Earth. "By the cosmic egg," whispered Elia, her silver skin reflecting the ethereal light. What were they working on here? Zixnarath approached one of the consoles, his clawed fingers hovering over the controls. Something far beyond our current understanding of physics, it seems. As the science team began to analyze the data, Zixnarath explored the rest of the lab. In a corner, he found a personal log terminal. To his surprise, it activated at his touch. A hologram flickered to life. A human woman, her eyes bright with a mixture of fear and excitement. "This is Dr. Samantha Chen, lead researcher at Titan Outpost. If you're seeing this, it means we succeeded and failed." Zixnarath leaned in, his scales darkening with intensity. "Our work here was, God, how do I even explain it? We were pushing the boundaries of quantum mechanics, trying to understand the fundamental nature of reality itself. And we found something incredible and terrifying." The hologram flickered, and Dr. Chen's expression grew more serious. "We discovered that consciousness, self-awareness, isn't just a product of neural activity. It's a fundamental force of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism. And we learned how to manipulate it." Zixnarath felt a chill run down his spine. The implications were staggering. "We called it the quantum consciousness field. With it, we could potentially free our minds from physical constraints, transcend our bodies, become something more. But there were risks, huge risks. Some of the team wanted to stop, to destroy our research. Others." The hologram stuttered, and when it resumed, Dr. Chen looked haggard, as if years had passed in moments. "It's happening, faster than we anticipated. The field is expanding, encompassing Earth. We can't stop it. We can only hope that what comes next is better. To whoever finds this, I'm sorry, and good luck." The hologram winked out, leaving Zixnarath and his team in stunned silence. "Admiral," Elia's voice was barely a whisper, "are you saying that the humans transcended their physical forms?" Zixnarath turned to face his crew, seeing the mix of awe and terror in their alien faces. "It appears so. They didn't vanish. They evolved." As the implications sank in, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. The science officer monitoring the equipment cried out, "Sir, the energy levels are spiking. The containment field is collapsing. Evacuate." Zixnarath roared, "Back to the shuttle. Now." They ran through the corridors, the very air seeming to vibrate around them. As they reached the airlock, Zixnarath glanced back. The walls of the facility were becoming translucent, reality itself seeming to warp and bend. The shuttle lifted off just as the outpost began to glow with an inner light. From orbit, the Luminary's crew watched in awe as the entire moon of Titan was enveloped in a sphere of energy, a perfect match for the one surrounding Earth. Back on the bridge, Zixnarath stood in silence, his mind reeling from what they had discovered. Humanity hadn't disappeared. They had ascended to a level of existence beyond anything the galactic community had ever imagined. And now, the question that weighed heavily on everyone's mind: was this the next step in evolution for all sentient life, or had humanity stumbled upon something that would forever set them apart from the rest of the cosmos? As the luminary set course back to Earth, Zixnarath knew that the repercussions of their discovery would echo through the galaxy for eons to come. The search for humanity had yielded answers, but those answers had only given rise to even greater questions. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning. The quantum leap. The CSS Luminary streaked through the void, carrying news that would shake the foundations of galactic society. Admiral Zixnarath stood at the ship's viewport, his 4 eyes fixed on the distant stars, each one potentially harboring life that might one day follow humanity's extraordinary path. "Admiral," Elia's voice broke through his reverie. "We're receiving a priority transmission from Galactic Command." Zixnarath nodded, his scales shifting to a deeper hue of anticipation. Put it through to my private quarters. I'll take it there. In the solitude of his room, Zixnerath activated the holographic communicator. The stern visage of High Counselor Vex'ahlia materialized before him, her crystalline form glittering with barely contained energy. "Admiral," her voice rang like chimes in a solar wind, "your report has caused quite a stir. The Council is divided on how to proceed." Zixnerath's tail twitched, a sign of his own inner conflict. "I understand, Counselor. The implications of what we've discovered are overwhelming." Vex'ahlia's form shimmered, a physical manifestation of her agitation. "Some are calling for a quarantine of the entire Sol system. Others want to commit all our resources to understanding and replicating the humans' achievement. And a vocal minority." She paused, her crystalline features hardening. "They're advocating for the destruction of Earth and its barrier, fearing what might emerge if the humans ever decide to return to our plane of existence." The Admiral's scales darkened in alarm. "Surely they can't be serious. We're talking about an entire species. A species that has apparently transcended physical form." "Admiral," Vex'ahlia cut in. "A species that could represent the greatest boon, or the greatest threat, to galactic civilization in our history." Zixnerath took a moment to gather his thoughts, his lower eyes closing in concentration, while his upper pair remained fixed on the Counselor's image. "What are your orders?" "For now, maintain your position." Vex'ahlia's holographic form flickered slightly. "For now, maintain your position. Continue your research, but under no circumstances attempt to breach the barrier. We need more information before we can make any definitive decisions." Zixnerath nodded, his scales rippling with a mix of relief and frustration. "Understood, Counselor. We'll proceed with caution." As the transmission ended, the Admiral found himself once again staring out at the stars. The magnitude of their discovery weighed heavily upon him. Humanity, a species that had barely mastered interplanetary travel, had somehow unlocked the secrets of consciousness itself. It was simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. Back on the bridge, Zixnerath gathered his senior staff. "Our orders are to continue our investigation, but with strict limitations. No attempts to breach the barrier." Elia, her silver skin gleaming under the ship's lights, spoke up. "Sir, what about the data we recovered from Titan? Surely there's more we can learn from it." "Agreed," Zixnerath rumbled. "Assemble a team of our best scientists. I want every scrap of information from that outpost analyzed." For days, the luminary buzzed with activity. The ship's quantum computers worked overtime, processing the vast amounts of data recovered from the human research facility. Scientists from various species collaborated, each bringing their unique perspectives to bear on the problem. It was on the 5th day that the breakthrough came. "Admiral," the excited voice of Dr. Cathax, a Vespoid physicist, chirped through the comm. "We've made a discovery. You need to see this immediately." Zixnerath hurried to the science lab, finding it abuzz with activity. Holograms filled the air, displaying complex equations and swirling models of subatomic particles. Dr. Cathax's mandibles clicked rapidly as he spoke. "We've managed to decipher some of the key principles behind the human's quantum consciousness field. It's beyond anything we've ever imagined." "Explain," Zixnerath commanded, his 4 eyes scanning the displays. "The humans found a way to manipulate the very fabric of reality at its most fundamental level," Cathax began. "They discovered that consciousness isn't just an emergent property of complex neural networks. It's a fundamental force of the universe, existing in the quantum foam that underlies all of reality." Elia, who had joined them, interjected. "But how does that lead to transcendence?" Cathax's compound eyes gleamed with excitement. "By tapping into this field, the humans found a way to separate consciousness from physical form. They could essentially upload their minds into the quantum realm itself." Zixnerath's scales shifted to a deep purple, a sign of deep contemplation among his species. "Are you saying they became pure energy, pure thought?" "More than that," Cathax chittered. "They became one with the underlying fabric of the universe. Imagine being able to perceive and interact with reality at its most fundamental level. Time, space, matter, all would be like clay in your hands. The implications were staggering. Zix-Nereth found himself grappling with concepts that challenged everything he thought he knew about the nature of existence. But the barrier, Elia mused. Why create it? Dr. Cathax's antennae twitched. Protection, perhaps, or containment. The field around Earth might be a cocoon, sheltering humanity as it undergoes this profound transformation. Zix-Nereth stared at the swirling models before him, his mind racing. Can we replicate it? A hush fell over the lab. Cathax's mandibles clicked nervously. Theoretically, yes. But the risks are enormous. The human data shows multiple failed attempts, each resulting in, well, the complete atomization of the test subjects. The Admiral's scales rippled with unease. Then we proceed with extreme caution. No live tests without direct approval from Galactic Command. As the team continued their work, Zix-Nereth retreated to his quarters. The weight of their discovery pressed down on him. Humanity had taken a leap into the unknown, potentially evolving beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. But at what cost? And what did it mean for the rest of sentient life? He activated his personal log, his voice low and thoughtful. The humans always had a saying, to boldly go where no one has gone before. It seems they've taken that ethos to its ultimate conclusion. They've become pioneers not just of space, but of existence itself. Then we will wait, the voice said simply. We have eternity, after all. As the implications of this statement sank in, alarms blared across the bridge. The science officer's tentacles writhed in agitation as she reported, Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy spike from the barrier. Before anyone could react, a beam of pure white light shot out from the barrier, enveloping the luminary. For a moment, Zix-Nereth felt as if his consciousness was being pulled from his body, expanding to fill the universe itself. Visions flashed before his eyes. The birth and death of stars, the dance of galaxies, the intricate quantum web that underlaid all of reality. He saw the past, the present, and countless possible futures all at once. And then, as suddenly as it began, it was over. The Admiral found himself back on the bridge, gasping for breath. Around him, the crew was in similar states of shock and awe. What was that? Elia managed to ask, her voice trembling. The human voice spoke again, tinged with what sounded like amusement. A gift and an invitation. We've given you a glimpse of what we've become, of the knowledge we've gained, a seed of possibility planted in your minds. Zix-Nereth struggled to process the experience, his scientific mind grappling with concepts that defied all known laws of physics. Why show us this? Because the future of the galaxy, of the universe itself, is one of choice. Admiral, the voice explained, we've taken our path, but it need not be the only one. Evolution has many forms, many directions. We hope that by sharing this glimpse, we can inspire rather than frighten, guide rather than dominate. As the voice faded, the barrier pulsed once more, then settled into a steady, soft glow. The bridge of the luminary was silent, each crew member lost in thought, trying to comprehend the enormity of what they'd experienced. Zix-Nereth moved to the viewport, his gaze fixed on the shimmering barrier that now enclosed the cradle of humanity. He realized that they stood at a crossroads of cosmic significance. The choices they made now, the report they would send back to Galactic Command, could shape the future of all sentient life. Elia, he said softly, prepare a transmission to Galactic Command. Priority 1. As his first officer moved to comply, Zix-Nereth continued to stare at the barrier, his mind still reeling from the visions he'd seen. Humanity had indeed gone beyond the veil, and in doing so, had opened up possibilities that would reshape the very nature of existence. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, he thought, that was exactly what it needed, a new dawn for the galaxy. The news of humanity's transformation spread through the galaxy like a shockwave. The Galactic Confederation, once a bastion of order and predictability, found itself grappling with philosophical and existential questions on a scale never before encountered. Admiral Zixnarath stood before the Grand Council, his scales a mix of deep blues and purples, reflecting the gravity of the situation. The circular chamber was filled to capacity, representatives from every member species eager to hear firsthand about the extraordinary events in the Sol system. High Counselor Vexalia's crystalline form glittered as she called the session to order. Admiral Zixnarath, you have witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. We await your full report. Zixnarath took a deep breath, his 4 eyes scanning the assembled dignitaries. Esteemed members of the Council, what we have discovered in the Sol system goes beyond mere scientific curiosity. Humanity has not just evolved. They have transcended the very boundaries of physical existence. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Zixnarath continued, recounting the events of the past weeks, the discovery of the barrier, the revelations from the Titan outpost, and finally, the direct contact with the transformed humanity. They have become beings of pure consciousness, he explained, capable of manipulating the quantum fabric of reality itself, and they have offered us a choice, a chance to follow them on this path of evolution, should we choose to do so. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some expressed awe and excitement, others fear and skepticism. A Volcran representative, their gaseous form swirling with agitation, spoke up. And what guarantee do we have that these ascended humans won't use their newfound powers to dominate the galaxy? Zixnarath's tail twitched thoughtfully. They have shown no signs of aggression. In fact, they've gone to great lengths to contain their transformation, to protect the rest of the galaxy from any potential side effects. But the power they wield, a Meridian counselor interjected, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with concern. It's godlike. How can we trust them? Perhaps, Zixnarath replied, the question isn't whether we can trust them, but whether we can afford not to engage with them. The knowledge they possess could revolutionize every aspect of our civilization. The debate raged for hours. Some argued for establishing a permanent quarantine around the Sol system, fearing the unknown consequences of humanity's evolution. Others advocated for immediate attempts to replicate the humans' quantum consciousness technology, seeing it as the key to solving many of the galaxy's pressing problems. As the arguments continued, Zixnarath found his mind drifting back to the visions he had experienced aboard the Luminary. The interconnectedness of all things, the vast tapestry of possibilities that lay before them, it was simultaneously humbling and inspiring. Finally, High Counselor Vexalia raised her crystalline hand, silencing the chamber. It is clear that we stand at a crossroads. The path we choose will shape the future of our entire civilization. Admiral Zixnarath, you have had the most direct contact with this new form of humanity. What course of action do you recommend? Zixnarath felt the weight of countless worlds upon his shoulders. His response would influence the direction of galactic society for eons to come. He spoke slowly, choosing his words with care. Esteemed Council, I believe we must approach this situation with both caution and openness. We cannot ignore the potential benefits of this new knowledge, nor can we rush headlong into a transformation we may not fully understand. His scales shifted to a deep, resolute blue as he continued. I propose we establish a long-term research initiative. We should maintain open communication with the ascended humans, learn from them, but also take the time to fully comprehend the implications of their evolution. Let us not fear the unknown, but approach it with the spirit of scientific inquiry and philosophical reflection that has brought our civilization this far. The chamber fell silent as the council members contemplated his words. Then, gradually, a consensus began to form. The Galactic Confederation would not shut itself off from this new reality, nor would it recklessly pursue ascension without understanding the consequences. In the months and years that followed, the galaxy experienced a renaissance of scientific and philosophical thought. Research outposts were established on the edge of the Sol system's quantum barrier, staffed by the brightest minds from every member species. Breakthroughs in quantum mechanics, consciousness studies, and the nature of reality itself came at an unprecedented pace. But beyond the scientific advancements, a profound change began to take root in galactic society. The knowledge that consciousness could transcend physical form led to a revaluation of long-held beliefs about life, death, and the nature of existence itself. Ancient rivalries began to seem petty in the face of cosmic evolution. A new sense of unity and purpose spread throughout the Confederation. 5 years after the initial discovery, Admiral Zix Nereth once again found himself aboard the CSS Luminary, approaching the shimmering quantum barrier that enclosed the Sol system. But this time, he wasn't alone. A delegation of scientists, philosophers, and diplomats from across the galaxy accompanied him, prepared for the first official diplomatic contact with ascended humanity. As the ship drew near, the barrier pulsed with welcome. The familiar yet alien voice of humanity spoke, not just to their ears, but directly to their minds. "Welcome, friends. We are glad you have come. There is much to share, much to explore together." Zix Nereth felt a sense of profound optimism wash over him. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But for the first time in galactic history, the barrier between the physical and the metaphysical was breaking down. The frontier of exploration was expanding not just outward into the cosmos, but inward into the very nature of consciousness itself. As the luminary prepared to make history once again, Zix Nereth realized that humanity's great silence had not been an end, but a beginning. A new chapter in the story of life in the universe was unfolding, and every sentient being would have the opportunity to help write it. The dawn of a new era had arrived, bright with the promise of infinite possibilities. And in the grand tapestry of cosmic evolution, humanity's quantum leap had become a beacon, illuminating the path toward a future limited only by the boundaries of imagination itself.